Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, this is a hypnosis session all about two things. It's about releasing shame and judgment, but it's also about unleashing a new level of self-acceptance. And this session was created for a client that in their past were overweight, but as a result of losing a lot of weight in a relatively short period of time, it meant that they had loose skin, and more importantly, they had certain emotions that they felt were linked to the idea of rejection, because when they were young, they felt rejected based on their body shape, that they weren't accepted or acceptable. Now, the problem is that if, as a young person, you learn that in order to be accepted, you're going to use control to change things, then actually you've seen the positive tool that dissatisfaction and shaming yourself can actually create. And there are some people that are advocates of fat shaming because they feel it's motivation. I disagree. I think it's completely possible to accept yourself as you are and still have a desire to change something, in the same way that you can be grateful for your life and still desire to make your life even better. But most people don't think that way. Most people believe that in order to make a change, they have to create so much dissatisfaction in order to create the motivation to create that change. And it can work. But here's the thing, it can work if you are actually able to vary the variables. So if you can eat less and exercise more, and that's what this client did to lose the weight. But loose skin is different. That requires a different strategy. So this requires an element of self-acceptance. So it starts with them imagining themselves in swimwear on a beach, and two different versions of them. A version of them that is oozing in self-acceptance, but their body looks exactly the same. And the other carrying lots of shame and insecurities. Now, bearing in mind that they are still the same person with exactly the same body features, it's just one version of them has more self-acceptance and the other has more insecurity and shame. And they get to see what their life would be like if they let go of that shame and had more self-acceptance. Now, there is a great way of believing that if you accept yourself as you are, then your self-esteem goes up, and that's true. But that doesn't mean that you desire to make certain changes. For example, this client, even though they had loose skin, certain parts of their body, they could utilize things like gaining more muscle mass to change not only their body composition and their confidence, but also how their skin is in proportion to their body. But again, it does not require shaming and dissatisfaction in order to build muscle. You can do it from a place of inspiration, aspiration, and growth rather than shaming. So if there is a part of you that you don't like, you're dissatisfied with, or that you feel ashamed of certain parts of your body, the kind of thing that you wouldn't like people to see, for example, or you hide or you mask or you hope that people don't bring it up, this session could be for you. It's mainly based on the body shape and the loose skin, but it could be based on anything at all. So you can make it fit for your circumstances. And if you like the idea of a more bespoke session, actually customized to you and your situation, have a look in the show notes. There's lots of free resources there, free downloads, free guides, free courses, and also the ability to have a consultation call with me as well. For now, though, I'd like you to find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a feeling of pure relaxation. And as you exhale, feel a wonderful feeling of release. Not just releasing tension, but releasing anything else. Any heavy expectations, any feelings of dissatisfaction. Allow the outward breath to be the release valve. And as you breathe in a wonderful feeling of acceptance. Imagine a color that represents self-acceptance, a bright color. And as you breathe in, imagine breathing in that bright, vibrant color of self-acceptance. And as you exhale, release any feeling of inner judgment. Everyone judges, but sometimes judgments can be harsh and unfair. Every single thing that exists could be judged in entirely different ways. I want you to imagine someone with a scar could be judged as unlucky or ugly, as a hero or a victim. And I want you to imagine an animal like a puppy. And just imagine that if that puppy was born without one leg, some people would perceive that puppy to be even more cute or adorable, while others would perceive it to be deformed and not even have a right to exist. So when you breathe in that self-acceptance, I want you to imagine unlocking the lens of self-acceptance that perceives who you are through a lens of positive evaluations. The moment a perceived flaw becomes an attribute of a wonderful quality like determination, empowerment, then suddenly it loses all of its power to create shame, to create dissatisfaction. So as you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine a public beach. And I'd like you to imagine there you are. And you have two different versions of you. Imagine a version of you oozing in confidence and self-acceptance. Your body shape is exactly the same, but that version of you fully accepts every part of your body shape. And then imagine another version of you riddled with insecurity, feeling that everyone will judge, look, stare, comment, or mock. And in both cases, it's exactly the same version of you. The only difference is one version has full self-acceptance and the other has zero self-acceptance. And I want you to imagine both versions of you go down to the public beach only with swimming shorts on. But I want you to observe how differently they interact with the environment. That confident version of you brimming with self-acceptance. See that version of you smiling as they walk down the beach, playing in the water, maybe jogging or just lying in the sun. But the other version of you tries to hide in places where fewer people would be, doesn't move around so much. And I want you to create a perception that these emotions create self-fulfilling prophecies. The version of you with full self-acceptance feels that because they accept themselves, other people accept them too. They notice the smiles, the eye contact, words of friendliness or positivity. But observe the version of you filled with insecurity, fear of judgment, self-shame. That version of you will pick up on any looks of disapproval. That version of you will pick up on facial expressions, avoidance. I want you to get a sense that how you feel about yourself creates the world around you. And the more you believe that to be true, the truer it becomes. So just imagine seeing both ends of a spectrum, one enjoying the beach, one tolerating the beach, one interacting with other people, the other avoiding people. And both are possible for you. The version of you filled with self-acceptance does not pretend they are perfect. Self-acceptance does not mean perfection. It just means that they accept who they are for what they are. And it doesn't limit them from wanting to improve. But they can improve from a place of progress, not to suddenly be good enough. Growth through progress and improvement feels different to exactly the same progress that comes from the stick of dissatisfaction. Some people believe that they can only be happy when they get to their destination. Others happily travel to the same destination. And I wonder what your unconscious would rather do. Be happy one day when you meet some arbitrary rule or standard as to what is acceptable, or to consider yourself already acceptable, with a desire to eat well, exercise, to evolve from a position of progress and self-improvement, not from a place of self-loathing. And as you imagine looking at both versions of you there on the beach, allow your mind to take you even deeper, relaxed. That's it. I want you to feel that your unconscious, your body, is not under attack anymore. Allow the muscles in your face to relax, your shoulders to soften, and the abdomen all the way round to your hips to be allowed to be just as they are. And notice as you breathe in and breathe out slowly, you are in your body, but you are not on trial in your body. I want you to drift back in time to that version of you when you were just 18 years old. See how you looked, your body shape. Observe a moment where you felt then rejected, unwanted. I want you to see the expression in your face. At some point, that young brain of yours added 1 + 1 and came up with 3. A thought, a seed of an idea was planted. I'm not acceptable as how I look now. And if I change my body, then I can earn acceptance. And that belief wasn't weakness. It was adaptation, a craving for love, connection, and approval. And all that weight loss that followed wasn't vanity. It was a craving for connection. It was survival. So with that new perspective, take a moment now to acknowledge the intelligence of that response. That body did what it thought it had to do to protect you from emotional pain. And imagine that younger version of you standing in front of you now, there on the beach. Notice their effort, their determination, their hope that changing the body would finally create safety and acceptance. But I want you to let them know the reality. They don't have to be accepted. They don't have to earn love. I want you to tell that 18-year-old version of you that they can accept themselves 100% and still have a desire to change it. Dissatisfaction is not required for change. I want you to go forwards in time when they've lost that weight and see them with the loose skin, remaining body fat, any marks on their skin that represent that change, and tell them they are not evidence of failure. They are evidence of history, of effort, of resilience. Their body isn't unfinished. It's experienced. And that shame, that quiet, corrosive voice, was never your own voice. It was a perception of your own insecurities, of what others would think or say. And imagine returning that shame to where it belongs. Not with anger, just with clarity. Just imagine sending it floating out there on the ocean on that beach. I want you to imagine a full-length mirror there on that beach, still observing that self-accepting version of you and the insecure version of you, and knowing that you're somewhere in between for now. And imagine looking at yourself in that full-length mirror, seeing your waist, the abdomen, the thighs. And instead of evaluating, measuring, judging, you simply acknowledge, this is my body. It's not my enemy, and I accept it 100%. And I want you to feel the difference between acceptance and giving up. Acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance says, I stop attacking myself. And growth says, I choose to care for myself. And when they work hand in hand, they are not opposites, they are partners. Rather than having to choose acceptance or control, you can embrace both. Accept yourself fully and control your behavior, your thoughts, to improve yourself from a place of progress. And I want you to feel from this place, motivation feels different. Movement becomes appreciation. Nutrition becomes respect. Training becomes collaboration. Not punishment, not correction, but communication. I want you to feel that when you choose to exercise, you feel like you're investing in yourself. And when you choose to eat high nutrition meals, you're saying that you value your quality of life. And when you really feel connected to your mind and your body, I want you to feel that you are truly listening to yourself. And I want you to imagine a future now. A future of self-acceptance with a desire to make slow, steady progress. And that body that feels accepted responds faster than a body under criticism. That your progress accelerates when it's no longer blocked by shame. And that future version of you stops chasing a body to fix the past and starts building a body that supports the future. And I want you to feel a quiet sense of pride begin to emerge. Not pride in your appearance, but pride in your integrity. Someone that accepts themselves fully while still evolving. That is emotional maturity. That is ownership. And from this moment forward, any improvement you make comes from self-respect, not self-rejection. your body becomes a partner in growth, not a reminder of pain. Those two versions of you on the beach start to return, and you get to decide which one integrates with you. The version of self-acceptance, or the version that uses insecurity as a stick to motivate you through pain. And when you're ready to choose which one you integrate with, let me know by nodding your head. And allow that version to come back into your body. And now, when you look at yourself through the mirror, you look at yourself through their eyes, full of self-acceptance. And the other version of you, they're still there on the beach, still hiding in the shadows. It's time to return to the present. But I want you to get a sense that any rejection and pain is no longer in you. It's in that other version of you there on the beach. What comes back when I count from 1 to 10 is a version of you that feels light, aligned, and full of self-acceptance. That's it. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.